Yes, everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Tactical Preview, City versus United. As always, we are sponsored by the good folks over at BetBull, and you can get up to £100 in free social bets if you check out the link in the description. There's loads of good sign-up offers, and I'm giving away a Marcus Rashford signed shirt as well, just to one random person who's following me on there. So if you'd like to get in the mix, it's free to download. Come and find me on there, Mr. Stephen Howson, and you could be in the mix. Right then, this is like pretty much the mingingest preview you could want to do. On the back of some poor form, United now face City. If we beat them, we probably hand the title to Liverpool, and if we lose, well, we just lost the derby at home. And a draw does neither of us any good. Mint. Absolutely mint. Everton was United's heaviest defeat of the season, losing 4-0 at Goodison Park. We have now lost 6 of our last 8. That's not good form. We've lost 5 away in a row in all competitions. We didn't even register a shot on target against Everton until the 86th minute. A couple of players have come out and speaking in the press post the game. Don't know whether that's agents trying to do a bit of damage limitation ahead of some moves. Pogba came out and said not to be disrespectful, and I am not disrespectful in Everton, but the way we played and the performance of myself, the team and everyone is disrespectful. We didn't respect ourselves, the club or the fans. Matic came out and said, nothing worked for us today. I am the most experienced player in the team, did not play well. We can't blame the young lads. I was the biggest problem. So, some honest words there from players, but players, listen lads, the talk is cheap. Ollie himself came out and said, if you want to play at this club, it has to mean more. I want my team to be the hardest working team in the league, and I love this line, I'm going to be successful in here, and there are players that won't be part of that successful team. Now, that defeat at Everton hurts because nobody else took advantage of... well, basically, it doesn't seem like anyone wants to finish inside the top 4, does it? When you look at where we are in terms of points, let's pull the league table up and have a look. The situation is as this. If United had collected 3 points at the weekend, we'd have been on 67 points. Now, that's with a game in hand on Chelsea. We've got the worst goal difference in the rest of the teams that we're fighting, so we can't even think about drawing level with any of them. We have to better what they've got in terms of points. But that was a real opportunity. That would have been 3 teams then sitting on 67 points going into the final 4 games or 3 games for Chelsea of the season. We had such a golden opportunity. Now, you would expect United are probably going to win at least 2 of our remaining fixtures. But those initial 2, City, Chelsea, we've given ourselves an incredibly difficult ask to get this over the line. Really have. Absolutely monumentally difficult task. Now, City, who we're about to face, they're looking at 10 games in a row that they've won in the league, really keeping pressure on Liverpool to win that title. They've scored 24 in those 10, conceded only 3. 2.4 goals per game in all comps this season, and obviously over the last 10, bang on. Average of 0.7 conceded. Majority of goals that they have conceded have come from set pieces. Unfortunately for United, we're terrible at set pieces. Apparently we've scored 7 goals from corners this year. Didn't actually know that, and can't remember a single one of them. It feels like we are so wasteful at corners. It turns out the only team worse than us at corners, or the only big team worse than us at corners, is City. Although I don't think City are trying to fire it in and get their head on it and stuff like that. Key player for Manchester City is 100% going to be Sergio AGUERO for me. 19 goals, 8 assists, top scorer in the league, top scorer in the history of the Manchester derby. Only started 27 games for City so far this season, but 27 goal contributions, phenomenal. 4th most shots in the league, 99. He scores with every 5th shot. We've got nothing like that, us. Aguero's going to be an absolute nightmare for us. If you can keep him quiet, do you have half a chance? Yes and no, because their entire system is predicated on finding space in there for others. So if you allow him to get a pass off, you're going to see Sterling or Jesus on the other end of that as well. Now, how can United compete? For me, the big thing that we've got to do to compete is we've got to get in there behind the fullbacks. Fullbacks are absolutely key for Pep. As you can see, this is against Spurs at the weekend. The space to exploit is in behind the fullbacks. It drags over the centre half and then it leaves space in the middle. So they're easy to get behind because they have a high position on the pitch anyway, and then it forces the centre defender to come over, and that's when you can start to exploit space against City. They're very vulnerable to this. Tottenham had a lot of joy with this in the Champions League in the midweek, and they've also had a lot of joy with this as well in the game at weekend, despite the fact that they didn't manage to get a victory at the weekend. Now, we can't afford to go in behind against City. City score first in 91% of their league matches. They also lead at half-time in 70% of those league matches as well. In the 3 games before the Champions League, City had conceded. City had scored in the opening 10 minutes of each game. They start fast, so we've got to be wary of that. And City, when they start fast, apart from Spurs at the weekend, they can go on and they can rack up a few goals against you. I will give City credit this. When United was on top of the world, we didn't smack teams around like City do. City are real flat-track bullies when it comes to really ringing out something against a smaller team. Another option for us is to keep Sterling quiet. He's got 5 goals in his last 4 starts. What's really interesting is where he scores his goals from. And a lot of our players and even coaches could learn from where Sterling scores his goals from. Majority being inside the 6-yard box. The front 3 are all goal scorers as well as distributors. Like I said, Aguero's got 8 assists as a striker. You've got to keep him quiet, you've got to keep Sterling quiet, and then you've got half a chance. Starting 11-wise for United is what I would like to go with. I obviously do not want to see Ashley Young in the mix, so I've gone with Dalot at right back, Luke Shaw at left back. I actually debated throwing Romero in goal. I really did debate it because I was thinking it might just mix it up. His distribution's better. De Gea's clearly low on confidence, but I don't know if taking him out of the side would be a hammer blow to his confidence, or has he earned the right to play through his poor form? Let me know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you do with De Gea at the moment? Defence-wise, it's got to be Smalling and Lindelof because there's pretty much no other options. I'd love to see Eric Bailly brought in. I spoke to my dad this morning about it, and he was like, "Do you know what? I just play Bailly and Rowe and let him kick the shit out of City." Now, I can roll with that as a suggestion, to be honest. But I've gone with Lindelof and I've gone with Smalling because even though a lot of people are saying, forget about the league now, play the youth. Well, do you know what? Because of the results that happened at weekend, top 4 is still mathematically possible and even to some degrees fairly likely if you can start racking the points up. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the players themselves will have been told that this is a target they have to achieve, is top 4. So I don't think you can see too much of a mix-up. I think he's going to go with a fairly strong team, despite the fact that he probably wants to turn and get rid of a ton of these players. I just don't think it's possible for him to do so at the moment. And yes, I brought Mason Greenwood in up top. I'll get to him in a second. I think that there's a real reason that you can bring him in over certain other players. Midfield, I've gone with Ander Herrera. United with Herrera since Ole came in, and United without Herrera since Ole came in is almost night and day. He has to start for me. Whether or not he's going to stick around or not, he's very good at what he does, and sometimes in a game like this you need a shithouse. Ander Herrera is that man. I would go with Fred because I think Everton game aside, and I don't think he was the only one, didn't look great against Everton. Pogba, you've got to kind of play the guy. He is our best outfield player. When he plays well, we play well. Unfortunately, he's not played too well in recent weeks. Jesse Lingard for the off the ball and the work rate, because against Manchester City, you're going to spend a lot of time off the ball, and you want to press from the front, you've got to have Jesse Lingard in the team. Now, I've gone with Lukaku and Greenwood up front. Lukaku can charge into that space behind the fullbacks, and he's also got a decent delivery on him. Mason Greenwood, if you don't know the sort of player he is, he's going to end up as a number 9. He might get his opportunities wide or as part of a 2, but I think he's good enough to start. I don't think it's a risk to start him. United now haven't scored a goal in, I believe it's 8 hours from open play. In the last few weeks, Mason Greenwood has scored... we scored 3 goals, but there's been 4 sort of circumstances with all of these goals. We've got open play goal where he comes to the left-hand side of the box, he throws in a couple of step-overs and he bends it in with his right foot against Derby. He scored a header against Derby. He's got a left-foot free kick which he buried against Newcastle from miles out. So he's scoring from set pieces, left foot, right foot, with his head, open play. He scores every type of goal. So just put him on the pitch. And putting him on the pitch as part of a 2 doesn't give him the responsibility to either hold up the ball or stretch the play. It gives him the freedom to kind of go where he wants. Is he finding space on the left? Well, you go down the left, mate. You finding space on the right? You go down the right, mate. Whatever he's doing, he can do independently of what else is going around him in a team. All you want to do is get this young lad on the ball, because I believe, given 90 minutes, he scores a goal. And at the moment, Marshall has had one shot on target in, I think, his last 5 games. It's terrible. And his work rate is terrible. Marcus looks off the pace, desperate need of a rest. He's not recovered from the injury and the illness that he's had. Give the guy a rest. I'd love to say play the Mancunian in the Manchester derby, but I don't think he's going to score, even though I would always think he's going to score. And I think Mason Greenwood probably gets a goal. Let's surprise them a little bit. Let's show them what an academy is actually there for. It's not there to sell players to Borussia Dortmund in a couple of years. It's there to bring players through for the first team. Mason Greenwood is our key player, and that's why he's got to play for me. Or he will be the key player if he plays. 44 goals in 44 starts with 18 assists. Now, I know I like getting misquoted all the time, but listen very carefully to what I'm saying. That is Messi-level numbers. Does that mean I've just said he's better than Messi? No, you fucking idiot. That's not what I'm saying. Does that mean I'm saying he's better than Cristiano Ronaldo? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, what he's just done in the academy, and he's not even a second year in the academy until next season. He's done this as an under-16 and an under-17 at under-18 level. That's what he's done so far. It's been phenomenal, the output that he's been given so far. He's earned the right, is all I'm saying. He's earned the right, and he's proven he's got the ability to be given the chance. It's up to him whether he takes the chance. Now, he came on against Paris fairly late on. He came on against Arsenal, and he's come on against West Ham. He's earned the right to get a start for me. What he did against West Ham was he occupied a position on the right-hand side of the pitch, and he stretched the play, because Mata and Lingard was basically holding hands in the centre of the pitch and not really stretching the play. Give this kid the opportunity, and I think he will reward you. So Mason Greenwood, if he's given the opportunity, for me, he will be the key player for United, because I think he's got that X factor about him, and I think he's going to go and do something. Righty then, should we have a look at the bets for this weekend then? So, as I said, you can get up to £100 in free social bets by hitting the link in the description. It doesn't count if you don't hit the link in the description. Come follow me on there as well. So hit leaderboard, press the little search icon, type in Mr. Stephen Howson, and you can come and follow me. Now, the first bet that I'm going for this week is red card in the Manchester derby. You know what? Let someone get on the feet a little bit. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a red card or a blue red card. I just think, red card in the derby. I think there's a good chance of that one. 12-5 if you fancy that one. And the second bet that I'm going for is, and I went for this because the odds are good, and maybe the odds are good because it's unlikely to happen, but I thought I can't turn that up at that sort of price. I saw it at 50-1. I think a couple of people have backed it since. It's now down to 43-1, and that's for United to win 3-2. Are we going to win 3-2? Probably not. The bookies probably think it's, about 1 in 43 chance of happening, but a fiver on that returns 220. So I thought the odds are good, too good there for us not to partake in that. I think in all probability, regardless of whether we come strong or we play the youth, I think City are probably going to turn us over. I think they're in such good form, chasing down a title, and we have stuttered so badly. We wanted to see a reaction against Everton. If anything, we were worse. So those demanding a reaction now, unless we make drastic changes somehow, I wouldn't be expecting a reaction. But for all of those thinking, I'd rather lose this game and not give Liverpool a title, well, you're entitled to your own opinion, but I don't share it. I've never walked into Old Trafford wanting to United to lose, and I'll never walk into Old Trafford wanting to see United lose. I want to see us win every game, and I think that's how we've got to approach this game, and I'll be singing as loudly and cheering as loudly as possible. It might be a weird atmosphere, but I'll still be wanting to see United win. I'll still be wanting to see us play players that want to play for this club and prove that they want to be here. If you're enjoying the content, please like the video and subscribe if you're new around here. Just hit 81,000. The road to 100k is on. But anyway, like I said, if you are interested in any of those bets, or you would like to win the signed Marcus Rashford shirt, then hit the link in the description. Come and find me on there, Mr. Stephen Howson. You can see this bet and all the bets that I'm putting on, all the yakkers that we're doing that are on the Thursday Club, and everything else over in the description. Righty, should we have a look at what Ollie said in his press conference earlier today then? So he goes and he says, that's the best game we could ask for, talking about City. He says, with the players hurt, as they definitely were, we had a meeting after the game, and you could see that the players were definitely disappointed, but really hurt by that performance. Well, I should think so. I know a lot of United fans turned that game off. A lot of United fans walked out on that game. So, yeah, I should expect people are disappointed. We do need to see a reaction. He says City is the perfect one. There's no hiding place on the pitch. I've said it so many times, and the fans will back you, whatever the result, as long as you give the effort against a City side that is very good. Now, he's right about the effort, and the effort just wasn't there against Everton. And his final one that we've got is, I like all the boys, I love them, but I've got to manage for the club, and I'm managing the club and the players, and I've got to put all my effort into making sure we do what is right for the club. It's in response to saying who's staying and who's going. I think he's made it quite clear there's going to be a lot of changes at United with Ollie at the wheel. Should we have a look at what questions you guys have got over on Discord? Let's just pull those up. If you're enjoying the content, please make sure to like the video. It does help it get found. There's not many people as interested in the game today for obvious reasons. Luke says, pizzas if Mason scores the winner. If Mason scores the winner, I will give away a signed Mason shirt. I'll make sure I'll go and get it. I don't know if I'm going to get one signed. I'll definitely give away a Mason shirt. I don't know if I can get it signed. I think I can get it signed, but we'll see. I'll get a Mason shirt for someone, and I'll try and get it signed. Vinny says, with our front three low on confidence, would I start Rashford on the left, Greenwood through the middle, and Chong on the right, bringing in much pace and movement? I think that might be too much. Too much change at the moment. I know everyone wants to throw everything out the door at the moment, but I think that's just a little too much. Matt says, City defence has shown itself to be quite poor when dealing with counter-attacks. Do I think Rom and Marcus up top in a diamond would be more likely to penetrate their defence than a one-striker system with two wingers? Yes. Well, I went with the diamond with Greenwood and Lukaku for those reasons. As we highlighted at the early part of the show, getting in behind City's fullbacks is the key to being able to get behind City, because they do have a high line. You've also got to try and either ride out or miss out that halfway line foul that they love, and that Fernandinho is absolutely key for doing. If you can get through that, I think you can beat them. And I think you can get in behind the fullbacks and get numbers into the box. You can outnumber them in there, because that initial break, yes, the defence moves back, yes, usually Fernandinho moves back, but you don't see the whole team move back. You can do it if you get good movement, and United have done that under Ollie. It's whether or not we've had the chance to put things right to really focus on what we need to do to beat these. Three-headed Hydra, who are the players whose heads are on the chopping block for Ollie for the lack of proper attitude and fight? I think Marshall and Matic going off the last game. Possibly Pogba. I don't know. Pogba's a weird one, because I think his commercial value elevates everything else about him. So possibly Pogba. But I think Matic... I don't know. It wouldn't be a surprise if there was 7 or 8. It might even be De Gea. It might even be De Gea. Connor says, is the rest of the season going for top 4 and more players showing they actually deserve to be here anymore? Is the rest of the season? Let's go for top 4 and more players showing up. I think the priority still has to be achieving top 4. But yes, I would like some players to actually prove that they belong here. Unfortunately, you can't get rid of 10 players in a transfer window. You just can't do it. Otherwise, that's kind of what's needed. And what's more important, the lads showing character and beating City or not, and then Liverpool the league. I think I would like to see some character. I would like to see some character here, and for them to kind of prove that they're not throwing another manager under the bus. It's got to land on them at some point. Do I want us to win this game? Of course I do. Does Greenwood earn himself a start in this match, considering his under-18 performance? Yes, you read my mind. God, are we the only team in the Prem that are more likely to concede when we get a corner than score? Oh, that was bad at weekend, wasn't it? It wasn't even like someone just ran off one-on-one and ran with it. We got the whole defence back and still conceded. Ridiculous. Ali says, will he start in 11 tomorrow? Show who Ollie trusts and who he doesn't. Also, quite a contradictory question. Is tiredness also playing a part in our declining performance? There was a lad I was chatting to on Reddit this morning, actually, who had wrote a response to somebody else, and as I was reading it, I was like, sounds like a lot of the themes that I've spoken about myself in videos. And I said, do you watch my videos by any chance? And he said yes. It turns out he's got family at Stanford who have done some research into different flows of performance in terms of recovery, match day and stuff like that, and it looks like that the repetitions required to correct poor coaching probably are the same repetitions required to correct old tactics. So sometimes we look like a Mourinho team or we look like a Van Gaal team is because that's what we've had more repetition of than Ollie, and it actually takes 2.5, 3 times as much work to out-train bad practice or incorrect practice or what you don't want players to do than it does to impart fresh onto new. And sometimes that's why young players who haven't had an overly overwhelming imprint of tactics drilled into them, because under 17s, under 18s, you're mostly told to express yourself. That's why sometimes they can come in and steal somebody's place because they've not had the drilling into them from improper coaching or old tactics or things like that. Johnny says, our problems are because the strikers aren't scoring goals. What's the missing link? I think it's a controlling, confident midfield. And the issue that, it's not really an issue, but one of the problems I have with Scott being a first-choice midfielder is he's very good on the defensive side of stuff, but he's very limited with the ball at his feet. And we either need someone who can do both, or you have to play him alongside someone, maybe like a Mata that can do the stuff with the ball at his feet. But then you start playing 2 players to do what really one good player should be able to do for you. And that's probably an issue. Do I think we'll see many changes starting 11? Yes, I think so. Big Lou, how is Angel Gomez's development going? A couple of years ago, all the hype was around him coming through the academy. Now the limelight seems to be more on Greenwood and Chong. The reason for that is goals, probably, and also injuries. Angel spent a lot of last season injured. There was also a prolonged sort of contract negotiation, and the World Cup hampered his season a little bit to a certain degree as well. So I think he's getting back to find his feet. He probably needs a loan where he can go out and be first choice somewhere and actually experience week in, week out football. I watched him in the 23s, absolutely destroy Charlie Adam. It was embarrassing how much better than Charlie Adam he was. And I think there's a real top-level footballer in there still. I think his development has definitely slowed down. I don't think it's stopped. I still think there's an absolutely top-draw footballer in there that just needs regular game time to prove it. And who knows, maybe he'll get it on pre-season. Sean, do I think that Zinchenko or maybe Delph at left-back is our key to winning this game? You obviously watched the Tottenham game at weekend, potentially. Maybe an Alexis on the right could hit City in a weak point. Alexis on the right is not the worst idea ever. I think that against a City team, you want to definitely go a bit more compact. You almost want to give them those wide areas to be able to hit them in those wide areas behind them, I reckon. Just over 2 years ago, City lost away 4-0 to Everton. In the following transfer windows, they sold many first-team players, including Iheanacho, Boni, Nolito, Fernando, Kolarov, Nasri and Hart. In the same time, they signed Laporte, Mendy, Walker, Bernardo Silva, Ederson and Danilo. How many ins and outs would I expect in the next 2 transfer windows? Or will we once again see how inept our board is in the market? I think you've hit the nail on the head in the final sentence, mate. I would love to see us go out and do that, but I don't know if we've got the competence to go out and do that, and that worries me. Or if we're even able to offload players as effectively as they are. Do I think we'll see some youngsters in the squad? Says Asim. Yes, I think there'll be more on the bench than in the starting 11, I think, but it wouldn't surprise me either. Wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. One player I think... I'm not sure he's like a guaranteed player that I think has to play for United going forward. I like him a lot. I would love to see him come through at United, and that's Brandon Williams, captain the under-18s this season. Broke his arm playing against City in the under-18s, kicked off with them. He's a walking yellow card, he's a walking red card, he's an absolute nightmare. He's an Ander Herrera level shithouse in the very best of ways. And I'd love to see him given an opportunity in this game. He travelled with the squad to PSG. He didn't get an opportunity in PSG. He was the 18th man, the one not picked. He could really come in and make an impact. Because if Ollie's truly serious about the things that he said, and what did he say after the game? Attitude, work rate, all of those sort of things. Well, even if Brandon isn't Marcelo when it comes to fullbacks, and he's no Paolo Maldini, one thing you get out of him, he's a very honest, hard-working player. And I think that carries him a long way. There's a lot of Gary Neville about him, and he didn't have a bad career either. And I think if he's given the opportunity, he would probably become a cult hero because of the attitude and the fight that's in the guy. I'm almost certain he's a local United fan. If not, he certainly plays like it. And I would love to see him given an opportunity at either fullback. I think he would shock people. But I think breaking his arm a couple of weeks ago, no, he played against Derby and I didn't expect that. But if he's given an opportunity, I think he would really shock people. I think he would really, really shock people because he wouldn't give a fuck who he was playing against. He'd launch him. Sterling running at him, no problem, launched him. Aguero running at him, no problem, he'll launch him. He really will. There's no fear in the kid. And I think he would be a really astute play. But wearing a soft cast, I mean, if he's all right to play 18s, surely he's all right to play first team. But that's a bold call from Ollie if he did that. And I think that's probably too bold a call. Jack says, how many goals are we winning by tomorrow? Adam, would I rather beat City and get top 4 or lose so Liverpool don't win the league? You know the answer. James, who in our current squad has the leadership capabilities to be Ollie's captain? I don't know, mate. I've thought about this a lot, and I don't know. I really don't know. I don't necessarily see a proper captain, certainly the level that this club's had in the past, in any of them. Really think we struggle with that, and I think we're probably going to have to bring it in. RG, does Pep starting Foden in a crucial game in the title race and him not looking out of place show there is no excuse for Greenwood, Gomez and Chong to be starting games for us right now? Here's the thing. Tom Cleverley started regularly for United in a title-winning season. And the reason he started regularly for United and looked good was because behind him he's got Rio and Vidic and Paddy Evra, and ahead of him he's got Rooney and RVP, and alongside him he's got Scholes and Giggs. And it's easy for a player to look good surrounded by that. It's not as easy for a player if what's around you is terrible. But that being said, I'm not a person that believes in you have to protect the youth, and if they lose then it could affect them negatively. This isn't the first game they've ever played, is it? These kids will have played hundreds and hundreds of games in the time it takes them to get into a first team all the way through an academy. Hundreds of matches. They'll have lost games before. They'll have lost heavily before. Ryan Giggs, I think, was 19, and Nicky Butt, I think, was 17 at the time when United got beat 4-0 in the Nou Camp by that amazing Barcelona team with Romario. It did not affect their careers. I think if the young player is good enough, a defeat somewhere is just a defeat somewhere, and they go again the next week. If they were fragile mentality, well, losing 4-0 would be as bad as them as conceding a throw-in if their mentality is weak. So I'm not someone that says, oh, you can't, what if they get smashed? Throw them in, see what happens. All his best results were with Matic and Herrera and Pogba as a midfield three. Since losing that consistent midfield three, and our midfield performances have declined, could that midfield three be one of the reasons to success at the start of Ollie's reign and the loss of it why we've gotten worse? Well, yeah, losing Herrera, we've lost dominance in midfield, haven't we? And even the games where we didn't dominate midfield, that midfield held its shape and was able to push us forward. I still think we're not in the worst position to get fourth. Arsenal have Burnley, Leicester and Wolves all away. Can see them dropping 7 points there. And we have to play Chelsea. Even if we lose to City, I think top 4 is still possible. The rest are shit too. Let's go back to the league table. Let's have a quick look. Beating Chelsea, if it's just off this week, puts us on 67, takes a little bit away from their goal difference, and we have a game in hand on us. So essentially we'll be on the same points with a game in hand. Or is our game in hand tomorrow night? I think our game in hand's tomorrow night, isn't it? So scratch that. So we'll be on the same points as Chelsea, no game in hand. Depending how tonight goes, that is our game in hand. So it could be we surpass them by beating them. If we manage to get a draw and then we beat them, we're ahead of them. Like I said, Arsenal we can get over. Maybe it's in our hands. It's tough, but I don't think it's impossible. Luke says Jimmy Garner to do a job or too early. I think Jimmy is a guy that's led United at every single age group, captained United at every single age group. Is he ready to do that at the first team? No, obviously not. But maybe he's earned a try. He's more mobile than Matic. I can tell you this, if it's him in Matic's boots on Sunday, tracking Sigurdsson doesn't get the shot off. So, sometimes it's not about throw the youngsters in and see what they do. Might be with Brandon. Don't think it is with Greenwood. There's some other youngsters in there as well where I go, I know you're better than what's around you. I don't understand why certain players are still playing ahead of these youngsters. Ollie's obviously seen him in training. I can only hope that he's waiting to get to pre-season and then maybe he'll mix it up there. I guess we are about to find out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and to like the video. And also to check out BetBull with the link in the description below. As I said, you can get a signed Marcus Rashford shirt just for following me on the app. That's Mr. Stephen Howson. So hit the leaderboard, hit the little search icon, come and find me on there. See the bets that I'm putting on, get the sign-up offers, and who knows, maybe we'll have them again next month, maybe we'll have them again next season. All depends on how many of you lot come and help me out and come and sign up to the thing. Let me know your score predictions in the comments below. And let me know if you want us to win, because it's not 100% on either side, I don't think. And if you're at the match tomorrow, I'll see you there. Laters.